Hello and welcome to Relaxed Male, a podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies.
Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Male. I am Brian. I am a men's life coach, and I want to help men be able to reconnect with themselves. And today, doing that is we're going to be jumping into something that we're going to have to get a little uncomfortable, and that's part of life, man. That's all there is to it. We've got to get uncomfortable from time to time, and today, the way we're doing that is we're going to be talking about emotions. Now, we're not talking, about the type of emotions where, I'm not going towards how so many people want us to, express our emotions all the time and talk about why, talk about this, that, and these or the others and, all the other unneeded times that we have emotions kind of forced on us. A lot of us know what an emotion is. We know what a feeling is. But there's a different angle on emotions that I want to approach you with. And I think it helps you to understand and get a better grasp of emotions and why we feel them, why you want to actually have emotions and embrace emotions as something as wonderful and as beautiful as they actually are. Let's go ahead and just to dive on in here. Let's go ahead and let's go for it and start with what is an emotion. At its very base, an emotion is a vibration that you feel throughout your body. It originates in your brain and extends from there. That's one reason why you will often hear me say, you will never die from an emotion. Anytime you feel anxiety, anytime you feel fear, anytime you feel any type of sensation, any type of feeling, as you can see, it's a feeling. You feel it. It's, you feel happiness. You feel being, sad. You feel mad. You feel angry. You feel outraged. You feel indignant. You feel, joyous. You feel horny. You feel all these different emotions. And a lot of people, they feel sad. They feel, anxious. They feel these emotions, these negative emotions. And there are positive emotions, negative emotions. There are useful emotions and not so useful emotions. Emotions are strictly, as I said, they're just a vibration that is felt throughout your body. They're originated as a thought, and that thought generates an emotion. So you see your wife, that may generate a thought of a loving thought, and so you feel the sensation, you feel the feeling of love throughout the rest of your body. Or if y'all just had a fight, you may have whatever another emotion. You may feel betrayed or let down or ignored from her, but these emotions are there. They're meant to be felt. Now these emotions can, especially the negative ones, can cause us a lot of trouble because in today's society, we're always told we want to feel happy. That's what advertisers are always pushing. That you want to be healthier, you want to be more fit because that brings happiness to you. You want a beautiful girl. You want to be able to have sex all the time because that's where happiness is. We've got advertisements now for men who have erectile dysfunction. We have for men who are, have low T. We have all sorts of snake oil medicines out there for something that is not going to fix what the issue actually is. And it's because we are told we don't need to be unhappy. Well, emotions, the human condition in the whole is 50-50. You're going to experience highs. You're going to experience lows. You're going to have pleasures. You're going to have pains. Most people these days avoid half of our emotions. They don't want to have anything to do with the negative emotions. Yeah. They're not pleasant. They're uncomfortable. You may have, there's unpleasantness to it. Often those thoughts are those emotions are tied to particular events, and we get ourselves caught up with these into these thought loop errors because we want to avoid feeling a negative emotions. And in all reality, emotions are, like I said, they're just a vibration. But the neat thing about these vibrations is if you let the vibration work itself through, so you have it'll be really strong at first. It's like a ripple in a pond. Right at the point where the pebble enters the lake, you've got a really big, violent reaction. You got water. It bounces up out above the rest of the pond. And then it comes back down. And from there, you have this ripple effect, these waves. And that's exactly what they are. They're just waves that emanate out throughout the rest of the pond, lake, tailwater pit, whatever it is that you just plunked a pebble into. But what happens if you pay attention to that? When you first think back the last time you threw a rock into a body of water, it may be just glass top smooth, but the moment you throw something in there, it's splash. You got the splash, you got the violent reaction, the first initial reaction. And then from there, it goes out. But the farther it goes out, the smaller it becomes. To eventually, you don't even see it. You don't even feel it. The emotions in your body are exactly the same. First thing, you have that initial reaction. Someone just backed into your car. There's that initial splash of emotion. You get mad. But the more you allow that emotion to go out, it gets steadier until you're like, son of a gun. All right, fine. Let's go get the car fixed. You get it fixed, comes back, and it's just as good as new. With negative emotions, a lot of people avoid those negative emotions. They try not to let those splashes, let those waves, that vibration get anywhere past the initial splash. They have the feeling they're alone in their thoughts or whatever, and the thought comes back to, say, the time your dad forgot that your birthday was happening or something along those lines. You and your dad were going to go hunting and he couldn't, or he forgot that he was going to take you and left with his friends. Something along those lines. Your thoughts, that when you come back to that thought, a lot of times we will try to suppress that emotion. We'll try to suppress those waves. A lot of times we suppress those waves in unhealthy way. Suppressing a wave at all, an emotion at all is not healthy, especially when you try to block it in. Because a lot of times if you ever pay attention to what happens to a wave, if you get a wave within a particular, and set it within take a sound wave. If you put it inside of a chamber, say like a glass beaker or something, and you take a tuning fork, you hit it, you get the tuning fork vibrating, and you actually set it inside of that beaker, you can actually feel water up to a particular level, and all of a sudden that tone that a tuning fork makes gets a lot louder. And what that is like is called when it's resonating. And emotions basically can resonate. If you don't let them flow out to the extent that they were originally meant to flow to, or to, if you don't allow your emotions to live their full life, they hang around and they haunt you. And they resonate within it on itself. And so it gets a little worse, and a little worse, and a little stronger, and a little stronger, a little louder, a little more demanding that it be allowed to live and go through its process. And the more we try to block it, the more we have to work to actually keep that emotion suppressed. And repressing that emotion causes us to have other problems form. A lot of times that's where overeating comes into play. All of a sudden we don't want to be alone with our thoughts, or we have a sensation of being hungry, and that generates a thought. That's an unpleasant feeling. And so we want to dodge and stay away from that unpleasant feeling just because we're just a little bit on the hungry side. And so we end up overeating to suppress that emotion, that thought, that feeling that we're having. We want to avoid that feeling. Maybe you, when you were a young college student, you spent your money on beer instead of buying, 2 weeks worth of ramen noodles. And so you had a very hungry period there. And after that, it scared you. And so you're not ever going to feel hunger again. Or maybe you had something traumatic happen. You may have witnessed somebody get hurt severely bad, and that feeling comes back from time to time, and because of that, we try to suppress those emotions. But if we suppress those emotions don't ever go away. While if you allow it to live the full length of go the full course that emotion is meant to go, eventually it fades out and goes away, and you feel better and stronger for it. So emotions, there's a cycle that some people call a tear cycle when it comes to emotions. There's actually I am a fan of Brooke Castillo, and she actually hers is more of an E tier, and what E tier stands for is it is the path of how you are able to achieve stuff and what results happen. And she calls hers the model. And what it starts out is you have an event. So an event happens. Your younger brother kicks you in the shin one day. All right. So the event is you got kicked in the shin by your younger brother. That event creates a thought in your brain, and your brain then takes that thought, converts it into an emotion. That emotion causes you to take an action. That action generates a result. So if you're wanting to, so he kicks you in the shin, that thought is, ow, that hurt, you little turd bucket. And so you get angry, sock your little brother in the nose, and the result of you doing that is that you get yourself yelled at by your mom. Another one would be, if for more adult form, would be that say you have you're at the office and your boss just told you everybody has to work late. You had a date with your wife that evening. Well, you can either be angry about it. So your boss tells you have to work late tonight. You've got a big project that is coming up to its deadline, and you were originally hoping that you were going to be able to go on a date with your wife. Y'all were going to go out of town for the weekend. Well, now that the boss has put the kibosh on your plans, you have that news generated a particular thought. So the event would have been, you can't go, you have to work late. All right. which makes generates the thought, causes a thought, which generates an emotion. And that emotion could range and have, or be several different emotions altogether, but, could be that you were angry, you're resentful, you're frustrated. Y'all are, there's a whole slew of possibilities and emotions that come from the fact that you're not able to go on this trip. And so if you are resentful, you may not work to the fullest ability, which means that you don't get the advancement that you wanted. You were hoping to get a promotion down the road, but because you didn't get to have didn't get to go on that trip, your attitude towards work went down in a way that prevents you, that your boss is like, yeah, we're going to skip over you and we're going to hire Jones. We're going to move Jones up instead. So you have you have an event that causes your thought causes an emotion creates the action, which ends up being the result that you have. That result being either a good result or a bad result is entirely dependent upon the thought that you have. So if you're in a place that you don't like to be, if you're getting results that you don't like, then you might want to trace it back to what your thought is about that particular event. So you want to lose weight? Well, if you're tired of being fat and overweight, well, trace back to what your thought is, or what's the emotion that you're having. That's those thoughts and emotions. If you change that thought about, well, I don't exercise, you change that thought to a different thought that's of, instead of I don't like to exercise, you change it to I am a person who exercises. You're going to start producing a different emotion, which will give you a different action, which then allows you to be able to lose the weight that you want to lose. As we know, a lot of people in today's society looks at men and they see that we don't share our emotions like they want us to be able to share. They think that because we don't sit down and we don't share every instance of every emotion of all the events of our day, that is what causes the men being this hulking, brutish, awful, terrible person, which we all know is not true. It's, I may go into what toxic masculinity is and all that, at a later date, but, at the moment, a lot of people like to try to put the label of toxic masculinity and on us men who don't share every instance of our day. We don't just, we don't share our emotions. We try not to act on our emotions. A lot of people, it's actually is a philosophy called Stoicism, and it comes fairly naturally to men. Not always 100% naturally, but it's fairly natural for guys to be on some form, fashion, or another very stoic. The reason that we don't show our emotion all the time is because we're expected to do things that, like, go to war. When we're in the middle of a battle, we can't be in the middle of a foxhole crying our eyes out. We can't be in hysterics when the enemy is attacking. It's not going to do us any good. It's not going to do our squadron any good. It's not going to do anybody any good for us to be in some form of hysterics. So we have to be able to, and inherently we are able to take our emotions, and we don't turn them off, but we set it off to the side until it is time, until that particular event is done and over with. And then we can come back at it at a little bit later date and process that particular emotion. So yeah, there are people who want us to be, we don't share our emotions. We don't even process our emotions the same as what women do. And that's good, because women have completely different means of processing their emotions. They look at their emotional, events in a different light than what men do. And women, in all reality, don't want men to share their emotions the same way that women share their emotions with other women. And there are guys who try to do that, and then they wonder why they are always friend zoned. And that's because there are men who share their emotions that much, become very annoying, become very needy, and women don't want that. They aren't looking for that in a man. They want a guy who can take care of the event. Yeah. Were you scared at the time? Yeah, I was scared. They want to know that we have an emotion. But the truth is that most women, when they are talking about our emotions, they want to know about our thoughts. What are we feeling? Well, it's not what we're feeling so much as, so what are you thinking? What do you think about this? How do you feel about moving to Louisiana? That feeling is more of a thought. Well, it's this, or I have this concern in that. So it's not so much emotional as it is a means of thinking. When a man is processing his thoughts, and he's often, a lot of times, just kind of can be viewed as being broody, or can be viewed as being withdrawn. And that's just how men actually process their emotions. It's not I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to withdraw. I'm not withdrawing to stay away from you. I'm withdrawing so that I can actually see what parts of the emotions are good and which parts of the emotions are bad, because you don't want to react to an event based on an emotion. A lot of people, anytime you've had a bad decision, a bad call, on anything, look through history, you're going to see where guys people have made calls based on a bad decision. Most recent example I can think of right now is is actually the Patriot Act. And I'm not saying that to bring in politics. I'm saying because the Patriot Act was brought on by the fact that we had just been attacked by terrorists on 9/11. And there was a lot of places that the ball was dropped. Some people some departments weren't talking to other departments, and vice versa, and so on and so forth. And we reacted in a means to make ourselves more secure, more safe, and to make sure that people, here's the key word, feel safe. Because we were in a state of high emotional, in a high emotional state, we made a really bad decision with the Patriot Act. Did we need to have some new laws in place? Well, yeah, but it would have been better if, instead of trying to getting that law pushed through through Congress and onto President Bush's desk, in the record time that we had it go through, would have been better if we had stepped back and didn't even try to address it for 20 days. Yeah, it could wait that long. Could have waited a lot longer, actually. could have actually done without the Patriot Act, because now you've got an air system, air transport systems that are ineffectual. All of a sudden, you have to be at the airport 3 hours beforehand so you can go through, take your tennis shoes off, get looked at, have your grandma be strip searched, and it's all in the name of an emotion. It's not security. You're not making the TSA is not making anybody any safer. It's just to put out the sensation of being safer. So there was that whole, the event caused a thought, the thought being, we need to be safer, or the event caused fear. The fear caused an action of having the Patriot Act written. And the result is now that we're no safer than before, now than we were before, we just have extra hoops we have to jump through just to be able to hop on a plane to go fly across country. We know that making a choice, making a hasty decision based strictly on emotions is a bad deal. And that's a lot of times, that's why men are viewed as we're cold and withdrawn, and we got our hearts of stone, because we have someone who is wanting us to react to an event based strictly on what the emotion is. Well, we need to, we have starving kids. That's a lot of advertisements work that way. If they can get you to respond and react to a message emotionally, oh yeah, they've got you hooked. If you respond to an emotion in a very strong manner, you're more likely to make that hasty decision. Oh, they can make you feel happy because you are taking this pill. They can make you feel happy because you're able to get the girl. You're able to have more fulfilling sex if you do X, Y, or Z. If you buy this product, you will have, blank. And so we are, again, pursuing an emotion. And if you pursue an emotion, it's not anything that's going to do you any good, because you're the one that feels an emotion. Everybody else around you, nobody can feel that emotion. So if you're happy about something, you feel happy. Your kids don't feel happy. You love somebody. Guess what? You feel the love. Your wife doesn't feel the love. That's why marriage is one of those fun things where you can actually, the whole purpose of being married to someone is so that you can love them no matter what. And their responsibility is to just feel loved, is to be nice if they are lovable, but they don't even have to be lovable. You can love on them all you want, and they can be mad at you if they want to. They're the ones who get to feel feel horrible about being angry, while you can have the joy and the pleasance and the positivity of feeling love. It's one of the big things about it, an emotion that I often point out, is that we often abdicate our responsibility for who controls our emotions. Our emotions are, we say someone ran into us. We say, well, they pissed me off. Well, no, they didn't do anything. They just backed into your car. You chose to get mad. I feel abandoned by my wife. Well, okay, you feel it. Your wife may not feel that way. She may be feeling feeling that everything is okay. When it comes to emotions, when it comes to how you feel, you want to allow those emotions to flow. You want them to happen. You don't have to express them so much, though it helps. If you're sad about something, if you need the reason, it's something horrible and you feeling, say you feel grief over the loss of a parent or loss of your wife, then good. Grief is one of those really beautiful emotions that expresses how much love and how much a person meant to you. And if, that type of, that emotion should be expressed, shared out with, expressed in whatever way you see fit. If you have an emotion, say you just met the woman of your dreams, and dude, you should be happy. You should allow that emotion to run its course. If you were denied a promotion, okay, allow yourself that feeling of being disappointed, feeling of frustration because you've been with the company for 10 years and everybody knows you were gunning for that position. That stuff happens, and that's part of the human condition. And suppressing that emotion is not a good act. Yeah, you may not want to express your frustration and anger the moment that they announced that Jones got the promotion and you didn't. But when you get home, there is a time and a place for everything. And that time, that place, that when it comes about is where you want to and need to and should be expressed. Going ahead, and I'm starting to repeat myself, so we're gonna head and close this up. But think about those emotions. Think about those times that something didn't quite go right, and understand that it's okay to have an emotional response. Know that allow yourself to experience that emotion. Don't bottle it up, because that's where overeating, that's where addiction and all that other stuff comes from. But pay attention to what causes that thought. Are you angry because you saw an ex who treated you wrong? Did you get in a bad mood because of, your kids are playing music that just grates on your nerves? Well, what is getting angry about that going to fix? Well, it's, that is completely, dependent upon what the issue is, what the instance was, and why it affects you the way that it does. So this next week, sit down, start thinking about what those emotions. What are the emotions? Why do you avoid particular emotions? What's the thought that leads to that emotion? Maybe if you can write that down and start thinking about why are you angry so often? What's the thought behind that anger? And a lot of people, they're going to say they're going to start out with, well, I'm just an angry person. Well, no, you're not just an angry person. Anger being one of those most useless emotions out there. Anger being just one of the most useless emotions out there. You can, if you understand where that anger comes from, you can quickly accept that you have that emotion, allow that emotion to happen without the aggression that's usually attached to it, allow it to flare itself out, and you can replace that emotion with something that is a lot more pleasant. So
look at it. Pay attention to what your different emotional states emotional states are, and see where you are kind of stopping an emotion. If you need help or you want to talk about it, you can always get a hold of me. We can always set up a time to actually just talk on the phone, and we can talk for a little while and coach through the different emotional instances that you're having, that you're facing, and emotional states that you're trying to address, and see what we can come up with as a means to helping you find the balance that you are looking for, so that you can be a happy, driven person that is driven to find the success that they want in their life. So anyhow, this is Brian for Relaxed Male. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and thank you again for listening. Real quick before we go, if you liked this podcast, please make sure you subscribe. You can go to just about any of your favorite podcast apps. Like if you go to relaxedmale.com/Overcast, that will take you to the Overcast page, and you can actually subscribe there. Caster, or just about any. If you have Pocket Cast, if I have one that's not there, if you go to relaxedmale.com/subscribe, you should be able to find a means of being able to subscribe to the show there. You can also find it by doing a search for through any of the apps that you like. If you want any types of coaching, like I said, I'm a men's coach. I love to be able to coach you and help you achieve whatever goal you're wanting to hit, or help you with whatever barrier you're coming up against. It's what I want to be able to do is help you to be able to achieve the best and most and the greatest possibility that you could get. My brain just locked up on me. Also, I have a live event that is going to be happening in May of 2020. I would love to be able to see you there. If you are interested, you can go to relaxedmale.com/live event, all one word, and sign up there, and we'll be camping out in the Croton Creek Wildlife Observation Area over in western Oklahoma, and spend a great 4 days with a group of guys, and we're going to be doing a kind of an outdoor coaching mastermind event to help each other become the best men that we possibly can be. So with that, guys, go ahead and I'm going to let you go. Y'all take care, and we will see you next week. So till then, bye.